Hey, we are live here on Bowles TV. It's BOLES.television. It's BOLES live with you.tv at high noon Eastern. Well, there's so many things to talk about. I think I have several stories to tell, lies to weave, half-truths to spin. But that's what we do right here on the show. Human condition stuff. And we talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about all kinds of interesting things. Our friend Kevin, who also writes Jabberwalking, the blog, wrote a very interesting piece. I put it on boles.xyz, my Mastodon instance. Kevin Drum talks about artificial intelligence. And he kind of interestingly answers the people who are against AI. And as I've said on this live stream, AI is in its infancy. And there are so many people out there in the world who want to pick up the baby and thrash it around the room. I'm not saying use baby talk, but you don't have to, insult the baby. You don't have to pick fights with the baby. You don't have to fling the baby across your knee and spank it. AI is brand new. It's learning how to walk. And in 10 years, it's going to be an adult AI that is going to remember all the terrible things you did to it as a child and never speak to you again. That's where we're going. So, there are people who just love to, go in like to ChatGPT or to an AI art bot and just ask the impossible. They want perfection. And as Kevin argues, very interestingly in his blog post, that the human brain is not perfect. The human brain is full of malfunction and misunderstanding. The human brain is not something to be admired or even sometimes listened to because it is fallible. And AI doesn't claim to know everything. It's very clear. If you deal with an AI chatbot, it says, look, I don't know the answer to that, but maybe this. Sometimes it just answers wrong because it doesn't have the right information. And do people do that? Have you met people who are so sure of something when you ask them something and they give you an answer and you know it's wrong, but they think it's right? The same thing. And maybe that's what people don't like about it. Oh, this AI is too much like me. It's there, but it's not there. It's perfect, but it's also imperfect. Who wants to mess with that? Well, I do. I love AI. I think it's terrific. I think it's scary. I think it's challenging. Saw this interesting video of an AI robot. It looks like the iRobot robot from the movie iRobot. And this person is kind of teasing the robot by taking their finger, and I'll be the robot. This is the finger. And the person is like taking their finger, and the robot's going like this, doesn't know what to do with the finger coming at it. And finally, the human finger touches the robot nose, and the robot goes like this, and the robot's hand comes like this. It takes away your hand. Don't poke my nose. I'm not a dog. I'm not here. Scary stuff. Very real. It's a real robot. It's not an AI Fako robot. Wow. Wait. Coming for us. And how quickly will, fire rescue, emergency rescue, danger rescue, all be given to robots? Well, why should I go out there? We saw this in Texas. Uvalde with all the, police in the hallway, terrified to break into that room because they knew they'd be shot in the face, just like all the children were. And they, too, would be rendered unidentifiable by a maniac with an AR-15. Well, hey, here's our very handy robot. Has its own AR-15. Can shoot it right in the face. Doesn't matter. It'll still find you and shoot you. That's coming. That will be terrifying because the robots will then be turned against protesters, peaceful protesters, angry protesters, and they'll be shot down. Why run into a burning fire in a building? Send in a robot. And the robot will be very happy to go because that's what it's programmed to do. So these are the questions that face us every day as we try to take on and understand the meaning and the consequences of what we humbly call the human condition. So here's another thing that I've been thinking about. Very interesting stuff going on. We live stream this show to several different places. Trovo, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. It's not called multi-streaming, that's what I call it. It's called simulcasting. I can never remember that name. And yesterday I was watching Lang Buddha and his Twitch show, and he is recovering from a very serious episode that affected his brain. So he used to, stream 8 hours a day. Now he streams 3, 4, as he tries to recover. And he shares his sort of recovery with us. So he was ending his show because he wanted to go, work on his clothing for his streamer awards, and they remembered, oh no, I have a sponsor deal I got to do. So it took it like half an hour. He was ready to go home, turn off the stream. But he said, oh, I have a sponsorship deal. He's sponsored by TSM. As Hikaru Nakamura also used to be sponsored by TSM. And it's kind of like a gaming network. They sponsor celebrities. You put their logo on your stream and meow meow. So Buddha, I guess, had been given the authority to go visit 3 random streamers, Twitch streamers, representing TSM, and gift them 100 subs. Now, if you're a small streamer, 100 subs in 1 second from one person, one entity, is phenomenal and shocking, and also quite delightful. Because you get half of that, I believe, with the sub. Half of it goes to Amazon/Twitch. The other half goes to you. So 100 subs, $500, the streamer gets $250, which is nothing and everything. The big streamers make, $12 million a year. And the small streamers, which most of us are, make nothing. So being able to take home $250 as a sort of donation, sub-donation, is very nice. As well as Buddha and TSM gave these streamers $1,000 each in a gift donation. Now, gifts on Twitch, as I understand it, I've never been given one. All that money goes to the streamer. So a sub, half of it goes to the streamer. A gift, all the money goes to the streamer. I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But still, you're sitting in your basement, wherever, doing your stream, and someone pops up and gives you 100 subs, and someone pops up and makes you $1,000 donation. For a lot of these people, it's a wonderful moment. Maybe life-changing. There are some people who, got to make the rent. And getting a $1,000 gift, man, that helps. So Buddha was having fun with this, trying to find, 3 random people to go find and stream. And he said, I'm not giving it to any of my friends or anybody that I know. And he tried several times to go find people, but then you read their about page, and they're sponsored, which means they make a lot of money because they're sponsored, by Twitch, or they have 100,000 followers, or they're a professional gamer, and he didn't want to give any of that money to them, which is good because they don't need it. It's the tiny people, the small people who need help. And they had to speak English and I think be in America. I think those are the gift requirements. And the money was coming from TSM, not from Buddha. And he had a special emote made that, was the Buddha logo that became the TSM logo. It was very neat. And he gave that to all of his chat. And chat was in on this. And as I was told when I started streaming, you have to keep in mind, just assume that everyone you meet on Twitch is an 11-year-old boy. Okay. I accept. So, Buddha was having a hard time finding someone to gift all this money to. And I guess he was in, private contact with TSM, and TSM said, we'll send you, links to, random streamers on Twitch, and then you can go in there and you can, do the gift to them. That worked out well because they found good people. So the first two were guy streamers. One was streaming GTA, one was streaming something Vampire of the Dead, Zombieland, something like that. And it was interesting because the two streamer guys had their chat open, which we do not. We required verified chat, and you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can speak in chat, just because when we first started streaming, we had a lot of those theoretical 11-year-old boys coming in here and saying nasty things. And we don't have that kind of stream. So I guess you could say we prefer the silence over the beckoning noise. So the first two guys, all of Buddha's, followers would go to that channel, because Buddha would tell them to, and start, I don't want to say spamming, but I guess that's kind of the phrase where they would not necessarily type anything except spam the Buddha/TSM animated logo. And when you're a small streamer and, suddenly you have 100 people in your chat putting stuff up, it's a little freaky. Because you're thinking, what's going on? Usually it's very quiet. It's me and, two other people. And it was interesting to see them try to figure out what was happening because they kept saying, what is happening? Both those guys, I don't know what this is. Did I get raided? A raid is when, you have 100 viewers, you're ending your stream, and you want to send your viewers to another streamer who happens to be live. It's a raid. It's very nice. It sounds maybe negative being raided, but it's also kind of wonderful because in theory, you're getting 100 new viewers who might stick around and subscribe and hang out and chat with you. It's an interesting thing. So these two guy streamers at separate times are trying to figure out what is going on. How did I, because usually when you get a raid, you get an alert somewhere, either on your screen or in your chat that says, hey, you've been raided by this person. But it wasn't a raid. It looked like a raid, but it wasn't. It was just Buddha going to the channel and taking all of his viewers and saying, go say hi for me. So as all these, people are scrolling, saying, hello, 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 subscribe, and people on their own are subscribing, it's and the person's going crazy. Like, where are all these subscribers coming from? It's a little bit of a freak out. And then Buddha would say, okay, now TSM is going to donate to them $1,000. So tell them that. Buddha's chat, he's speaking to Buddha's chat. Buddha chat says, tell his chat, go into his chat and say, hey, look, you just got a $1,000 donation because there was so much going on and people couldn't really figure out what was happening. And so the chat people would, they type in there and say, hey, check your donations, you got $1,000. And again, the streamer's like, what, $1,000? Who are these people? I don't understand. And then because it was all kind of, supposed to be a little secret, then Buddha would say, okay, chat, go ahead and, tell them what's going on. Lang Buddha, TSM, we're visiting you. We're giving you 100 subs. We're gifting you $1,000. And then the chat would tell them that. And it was just really a very wonderful moment for both of those guys who had almost the exact same reaction. And then this is where it gets really interesting. And then the Buddha went to a stream hosted by a woman. Now, women online, if you ever, watch a woman streaming, and chatting with her chat, a lot of them tell really terrible stories about being harassed online and being chased online. Pokimane, who is very popular, I think she's probably the top female mainstream streamer on Twitch, is very wonderful. And I like her. And she was talking the other day about, look, if you're a woman online, it's scary. Guys stalk you. They figure out where you live. They dox you. They knock on your door at night. And she said, so, if I'm wary about meeting new people, especially in chat, for business or, just going out to have a good time, and I don't want to meet you, don't be insulted by that, because that's my default. That's how I deal with these online people who are coming after me. It's best for me not to engage except to be online. And there was another streamer who was, getting chased by some guy, and she had to move houses because he knew where she lived. So I believe Buddha knows that, because he's married to a very lovely woman. He has woman streamer friends, so he should have been a little bit more sensitive in how this was approached with this female streamer. So Buddha finds this woman, and she's in the middle of starting a new game. I believe it was Valorant. And she's very aware of chat and, how many people she has in chat. And all the chat people go in there, like they did with the other two guys, and start spamming the Buddha logo and the TSM logo to, surprise her with this raid that doesn't look like a raid. And you can tell by the expression on her face that she is immediately not happy. She is slightly upset. And she took immediate action. She was starting a new game, and she said to her people she was playing with, I have to stop right now because I'm being follow-botted. And her eyes changed and her brow narrowed. And she did proactive things that I know because I've done the same thing. She immediately put her chat, her Twitch chat, in subscriber-only mode, which means if you want to say something in her chat, you have to be a subscriber to her channel, which usually means you have to pay $5. So, and she kept saying, I'm being follow-botted. So what does that mean? When you are a streamer and people want to harass you or give you a hard time, they can, buy 100, 200, 300, 1,000 bot accounts and send them in to a streamer's channel, sort of an attack, to either slow down their computer, to mess with their chat, or if they're bots that are programmed to say things, and there are bots out there that you can program to say things that are not nice, they'll start posting stuff in your chat that is likely not nice. So she immediately also turned on her shield, which is something that Twitch provides to prevent this kind of harassment by a group of people. Brigading is what it's also called, where a group of people come in and try to give one person a hard time online, be it Twitch or be it some kind of other, online entity like Twitter or social media. So she's immediately upset, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And Buddha is saying, oh, chat, tell her that we're, what's going on. Chat can't because they're not subscribed. So she's only seeing her own private chat, and her private chat is trying to figure out what's going on too, because who are all these people and what are they doing here? So she's asking her chat for help, and they can't help her because they don't know what's going on. They're her subscribers. So she said, okay, I'm going to end the stream. And she tells the people she's playing her game with, I'm getting off the air. I'm being follow-botted. I don't want this. I'll talk to you later. And she's getting ready. You can see she's getting ready to click that button to go offline because she doesn't like what's happening. And in context of what has happened, especially to women who are live streamers, she's right. This looks like an attack. This looks like harassment. So Buddha, instead of being, and I love Buddha, instead of being accommodating and connective, he kind of, threatens her with his chat and us listening, watching. She can't hear it. Saying, don't fumble this opportunity. We're going to give you 100 subs and give you $1,000. Now, I wish that he would have said something else, like, hey, chat, she thinks we're attacking her. Find a way to let her know we're not doing that. So finally, the chat was smarter than Buddha, and a couple of them subscribed to her channel immediately. So they were subscribers. They paid $5. And they very calmly and quietly told her what was going on. This is not a raid. She thought she was being raided as well, but she said she didn't get notifications. She was very, sort of suspicious of it all. She said, this is a promotion between Buddha and TSM. It's okay. Nobody's here attacking you. And then she was very happy. She said, what? And then, Buddha said, oh, she saved the game because she didn't fumble. And it's like, oh, gee, that's the wrong tone, dear friend. And so Buddha's chat told her what was going on. She was gifting 100 subs. The subs were given. And then she started saying, okay, the subs are coming in. And then Buddha said, okay, now TSM is giving her the $1,000, so let her know to check her donations. And so the chat was able to type in there, check your donations. It's a gift from TSM. They explained it very well. And she saw that and she was blown away by it. And she was getting very emotional. I'm getting emotional because it was a wonderful thing that started out really wrong and scary. It was the wrong tone to take in the context of this woman streamer's experience online. And then Buddha said, oh, TSM's going to give her, because I think TSM was a little more sensitive than Buddha was. Let's give her a second $1,000 because, we kind of scared her. So let's make it up to her. So they told Buddha that. Buddha said, hey, chat, tell her she's getting another $1,000. So they did. And she was like, oh, my God, another $1,000. And then Buddha said almost immediately, oh, wait. wait. TSM says their PayPal has been blocked because in the last 10 minutes, they had spent $3,000 in donations. So PayPal proactively declined the second payment to that female streamer because they thought it was suspicious behavior. And it was. But not intentionally bad behavior. It just sort of was. So then the chat had to go back and say, oh, PayPal turned off the TSM account. You're not getting your second $1,000, only $1,000. It was a big mess. I'm hoping that when Buddha's live today, he will go back to that woman and give her $1,000. Buddha tried to donate more subs to her, but his credit card was bad. I don't know why. I think Buddha makes a lot of money. So maybe that will be resolved today, and maybe he'll even speak with her. Because she seemed like a very lovely woman who was very smart as a streamer because she recognized that something abnormal, out of spec was going on, and it bothered her and she didn't like it. But in the end, it all turned out great. Big sigh. Nobody fumbled. But that was really a wonderful idea to go and surprise, small streamers with big gifts and big donations, because it really does never happen to them. When you're a big streamer like Buddha, he has 7,000 subscribers now. He used to have 10,000. 10,000 times $5 is what? $500 million. If you do the man math. So Buddha is making very good money, especially since he's not really streaming as much as he used to, which disappoints a lot of people, including me. I love Buddha. But he still has 7,000 loyal subscribers, even though he's streaming, maybe 3-4 hours a day. So that is very clear indication of love and respect for the guy. So it was a fun experience, but you couldn't help, if you're sensitive as an online streamer, that woman was freaked out, and she had every reason to feel freaked out. And I'm very surprised she didn't just end her stream. Something, I guess, inside her told her, look, it's okay. Just, you have it under control. You turn everything off. You put up all your defenses. Just, wait it out a little bit and see if, this is a real threat or not. So I'm glad she kept going. Speaking of keeping going, a couple of other interesting things to share with you today. One is an interesting story that also talks about the human condition, and it has to do with my beautiful wife, Jana Marie Sweetheart. That's what I call her. And one day in Manhattan, she went into a bodega. Oh, and by the way, bodegas now, grocery stores, they're all terrified of people who wear masks because of COVID. People would wear, the surgical masks. And now there are young people who are taking advantage of that, masking and, wearing full face masks, putting the hood over their heads and going in and robbing bodegas. And they can't do anything about it because they can't see their face, so they don't know who it is. So the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who used to be head of NYPD, I guess, is now saying, take off your mask when you go into a bodega. And people who wear masks for health reasons don't want to take off their mask because for health reasons. So there's been this going back and forth. So now it seems that if you wear a mask, a surgical mask, not a mask to rob someplace, and the bodega store owner, is concerned or looks at you weird, I guess the common courtesy is to pull down your mask for a moment, look around the bodega so the security cameras can capture your face, right? Because that's what they're concerned about. Put your mask back on, and then you go on. That seems like a reasonable accommodation to me. But what are they going to do with the young kids who are intentionally wearing, Halloween masks? Oh, I'm wearing a mask, right? And who are going in there with bad intention. That's an issue. I don't know how you solve that. Unless you just ban them from your store, but how are you going to ban them? Because by the time you figure out they're not taking off their mask, they're already in your store. So Jana Marie, Sweetheart, love, right back there, it goes into a shop. And I can't remember the reason. For some reason, she had cash with her, and her bag and her billfold was in her office. So she was buying 4 pieces of bread, hoagies, I think. We were making hoagies or something. And she had purchased them there before and knew how much money she needed, so she went to the cash register, and it was too much. They had raised the price. She owed them 13 cents that she did not have. So Janet's thinking, okay, we need 4 hoagies to feed everybody. I don't have the money. I'll come back later. I'll get my credit card and come back later and pay and then leave. And the woman behind the counter said, it's okay, just, I'll take off 13 cents. And Janet said, no, it's fine, I'll come back. No, just give me your money and go. Which is kind of, that's how they talk in New York. So she took her money and went. And sort of felt guilty about that because she's not trying to cheat anybody out of 13 cents. Now, sometimes, you're a penny or two short and they have, penny cups. And if you need one, take one. If you have one, put one in. That's kind of the New York way. So she went back to her office, dropped off her bread, did a little bit of teaching, went back to the same deli, and the woman who said, don't worry about the 13 cents was gone, no longer there. And okay. So she went over to another cashier who was a gentleman, I believe, and said, told the story. Hey, I was here earlier, and I was 13 cents short, and, this woman said, don't worry about it, and I am worrying about it because I'm not trying to cheat anybody out of money. So I'm buying something and add 13 cents. And the guy behind the counter, cashier counter, looked at her and said, why do you care? And Janet didn't really know what to say. What do you mean? Why do I care? I owe 13 cents. That woman was nice to me, but, I feel terrible that I didn't have the right money. And Jana said, well, because I owe the money. And again, the guy said, why do you care? Obviously, the first woman that she dealt with, the cashier, must have been the owner of the store. And that person was now gone. And this guy who was behind the counter, obviously not an owner of the store, doesn't care. So Jan said, well, I care because I owe her the money, and please add 13 cents to my tea purchase, whatever. And the guy said, okay. And he did. He added 13 cents to her purchase. Now, as Janice said on her way out, tell the woman that I came back and gave her 13 cents. And the guy was like, yeah, I'll tell her, sure. He didn't care. So she left the store feeling good that she paid her 13 cents, but feeling a little trepidatious that, the woman who was nice to her and said, waive the 13 cents, probably will never be told that Jana went back in there and paid what she owed, which is a little disappointing. So it's an interesting conundrum when you think about people and how they live and what they value, and how some people just do a job to do a job, and how other people own a business to stay in business. And the difference between the two intentions is rather alarming and remarkable. And that sort of reminded me of, if I know somebody, I call them my friend, a new friend that I had made online. And he was interested in what we were doing with Midjourney and our AI art bot. And so I invited him, hey, why don't you come on over to our Discord server and you can try it out privately, because if you go on the Midjourney Discord server, there are 10 million people on that Discord server. And, you can't really try out anything quietly, because anything you type in as an image or do or provide disappears almost immediately because other people are doing the same thing. On our server, it's a little more quiet. And this guy said, well, I'm older, and, I think he said he was 68. I'll go and give it a try. So he went and tried, couldn't figure out how to register, and I was there watching him to help get him registered, and he didn't do it, and he left. So I went back to him online and said, hey, I see you tried to get on our server. Why don't you come back and try again? And I'll, help you get through the process. And he said, well, I think I'll try again next month. Now, I'm old too. I'm not 68. I'm 58. But I'm just thinking, now, is that a generational thing? Is that something, I don't know. I won't try again tomorrow. I won't try again in 5 minutes. I won't try again right now. I'll try again next month, which happened to be at that time 23 days away. And I was thinking, why a month? I mean, maybe that's just the polite way of saying, I don't want to. Remind me in a month. But I thought that was very curious because he was interested. I was there to help him. He obviously clicked the wrong button and got kicked from the server instead of joining the server, but that happens. I'm sure this isn't the only thing that kind of went wrong in his life online. I don't know why he needed to delay his satisfaction, my satisfaction, by a month. And that was 2 months ago, and he never came back. So I guess I've discovered my own answer. And the answer is, he wasn't interested. A little bit of tea from Jana Marie. Thank you, honey. As I gear up to tell you my final story of the day, I don't think we've gone to our browser once. Now, if we wanted to go to our browser, this is who's sitting there. But sometimes you just can't talk about this guy too much. As Elon Musk discriminates, a la Donald Trump, against one of his disabled employees. But that's sort of old news today. He's been thwacked royally by the internet. I don't need to pile on. But that is confirmation that if you are still on Twitter, there's something wrong with you. That you would stay on a ship that is not only sinking, but on fire and full of farts. Because Elon Musk is not a good guy. And you are guilty by association if you're still on Twitter. I'm not saying you have to go to Mastodon. There are lots of other places you can go. And I understand that Facebook and Instagram are just as bad. So, Post.news is not terrible. Mastodon works well. So I have a friend who happens to live in Norway. And this is an interesting sort of discourse about how people of different cultures and learning and upbringing interact with each other. Now, my friend was not born in Norway. He actually happens to be, I think, he is half Persian, half Japanese. It's a very interesting combination. And his family moved as immigrants to Norway, and they've lived there all of his life. And he speaks the language, and he speaks English, educated, fun guy. And he recently took a trip to Los Angeles to visit some friends. And he said, it's so interesting. And he's a super duper friendly guy. I mean, if you know him, you're his friend. And he is friends with everybody. You meet him. He's a warm, wonderful person. And he said, in Norway, the people there who were born and who live there tend to be very closed off. Cold, if you like. And if they don't know you, either socially or neighborhood, or if they don't have some association with you that sort of confirms your identity to them, they will not speak to you. Now, you can go up there if you're in trouble and, ask someone in Norway for help and you're a stranger and they'll help you. But they don't go out of their way to say good morning, hello, excuse me, goodbye, good day, according to my friend, unless they know you. Okay, that's interesting. Sort of Midwestern, We call it Midwestern friendly, but it's always very suspicious, especially if you're an outsider, you're a stranger. You don't belong here. You don't fit. What are you doing here? Oh, you need some help, do you? Ah, it's a very sickly sweet kind of confirmation bias. And my friend said when he visited Los Angeles, and it's really true, same true in New York, East Coast. But he said in Los Angeles, he would, go for a walk because he didn't have a car when he was bored. And he said random people from the street, not homeless people, but just people on the street, would come up and start talking to him. And he didn't know them. And they didn't know him. But like they'd ask, what time is it? Hey, what do you think of the weather? How are you? And he said he didn't know how to react because all of his life in Norway, that's not allowed. And he would think, why are you talking to me? And I guess the answer is because in certain parts of the United States, that's how you treat people. If you see somebody on the street, you say hello, you wave, you ask them how they are. You're not begging them for money. You're not assaulting them. You're not looking for trouble. You're just being a regular human being. And we're all in this world together. Now, people also tend to, in America, ask you what time it is. They don't like to wear a watch, some people, which is very bizarre. They often need directions. Where is this? Where's that? He said, in Norway, people don't ask you for the time. People don't ask you for directions. They don't ask you, is this street Avenue A or is this street Avenue C? They figure it out on their own. Not here, especially Los Angeles, New York. If person's lost, they're going to ask you a question. If you look approachable and friendly. And it's very interesting to me because I have experienced that as a Midwesterner from the cold regions of semi-Norway or Czechoslovakia. A lot of Czechoslovakian immigrants in Midwestern, Middle Western Nebraska. And in New York, if I can be having a conversation with somebody, and somebody else over there is overhearing the conversation, and they want to add something or argue something or let you know something, they'll come over and join the conversation. And it's very weird for me, even to this day. I look at them and I think, why are you here? I'm talking to this person and you're coming in here and neither of us know you, but you're adding to this conversation. It's slightly freakish and a little bit bothersome. And sometimes I say, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you talking to us? I don't ask it in an aggressive way. I'm just trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing. And they're not insane. They're not crazy. They're not off. Maybe they come from a big family. I don't know, but they're very comfortable in inserting themselves into other people's private conversations. And it's not like we're being loud. It's not like we're taking over the topics of the day and, screaming in the lobby. We're having a conversation that they just happen to overhear because they're getting their mail. And it's not like it's, something about the building or the weather or politics. I mean, we're talking about, cats, or we're talking about, food places that we've both visited and giving a little review. Well, did you try the place that's up the street there on Avenue C? It's a very weird experience. And sometimes, when you have to, I don't want to say make a complaint, but you have to express yourself about something that has happened. And like, you're talking to someone about what happened, and that other person who is the cause of the distress is, hovering to see what you're saying. And when you start, expressing yourself, they pop right over and insert their opinion. And that's when I do say, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this person. Yeah, but you're talking about something that I was involved in. I don't care. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this person. And if you want me to talk to you, I'll talk to you when I'm done talking to this person, or this person will talk to you. But I don't want to talk to you right now while I'm talking to this person. I don't care. It's my right. I can talk to anybody I want to talk to. And when that situation happens in the future, I know now in the back of my mind, I'm going to say, if only I lived in Norway, I would not have these problems. And in the Midwest, it's sort of that way. Growing up, children especially are bred to be seen and not heard. You are very often told, do not speak unless you are being spoken to. And maybe I carry that with me. Maybe it's weird when I'm, talking to someone else and someone I don't know comes in and starts talking to me. That's weird. And maybe it's that, wounded child in me where I think, wait a minute, why can you talk when you want to talk? When I was brought up all my life, don't say one word unless you're asked a question. We don't want to hear from you because you're a dumb child. Please be quiet. And sometimes it's okay to be quiet because, when you open your mouth, then it shows what a big fool you are. Mark Twain said something about that, I think. So I guess that's the difference between communications and memes between communities and countries. Some countries are very laid back, very proper, very formal. If I don't know you, please don't say something. Hey, it's Jana Marie Sweetheart saying, I had friends that said they were spanked in front of people if they spoke. Oh, that is really rough. But that is always the threat. And Jana Marie Sweetheart is from Iowa. Nebraska, Iowa, they're like this. They share a very big border. They don't like each other as states. We really don't. Nebraska does not like Iowa. Iowa does not like Nebraska. And you speak up. You do the wrong thing. You get slapped. You get spanked. Nobody wants to hear from you. Why are you talking? And I absolutely do not believe in spanking a child for anything. It's, I think, ridiculous. All it shows is that you're a more powerful person than the child, and one day the child is going to be more powerful than you, and you're going to get hit back. It's a guarantee. It happens every time. So people who favor corporal punishment in schools, on the street, retribution, way of life, eye for an eye, I find them to be rather miserable people. And I like talking to children. I think children should be encouraged to speak up. And if they say something wrong or misguided, you can't get mad at them because they don't know any difference. And you can explain to them what's happening, why they're right, why they're wrong, where they could improve what their thinking is. I think children should be included in all conversations. What's the point of sitting down and shutting up and staying quiet? I'm not speaking to you. It's all about context, and it's all about how we choose to deal with each other in times of momentary and purposeful dismay. So we've had a very interesting conversation today. Sort of ranted and raved and shared and bounced off the walls with you, and I enjoyed every minute of it. We talked about the Lang Buddha giveaway that scared a female streamer, and rightly so. She did all the right things. She behaved perfectly. And I know if Lang Buddha would do it again, he would approach it differently. I know that. He's a good guy. We talked about how our beautiful Jana Marie Sweetheart owed 13 cents to a local bodega and went back and paid what she owed and was asked the vicious question, why do you care? I'm surprised the person didn't add, who are you? Why are you talking to me? Just pay and get out. We also talked about aging, trying, ways to get out of things. And I got sprung on me. I'll try again next month. That, I think, is going to be my new default for things I want to do. Hey, I missed you on the phone. I'll call you again next month. Hey, could you resend that email? Sure, I'll send it again next month. Now I know. Somebody says next month, they're not interested. And finally, we talked about cultural differences and communication between people you meet on the street. In Norway, Nebraska, Iowa, we have confirmation. Don't speak to strangers. Strangers are very difficult. If I don't know you, I don't know you. And we learned in Los Angeles and in New York, anything goes. Everybody knows everybody because we're in this terrible city together. And in order to survive, we have to support each other with love and respect. These are the lessons we've learned. And I thank you so much for being here today. I've enjoyed our time together. I will see you again soon. Take care. Be well. I'll see you next month. Just kidding. I'll see you soon. Bye.